Friendship, like fire, needs truth and care to stay alive. But what happens when pride, silence, and jealousy smother the flame? Tonight, we journey through love, betrayal, and the unseen in a tale that crosses this world and the next. Welcome to African Tales by Kez. They met where the bell tower groaned and the rain tapped out riddles on zinc roofs, at Onward Grammar School, in the buzzing, dusty lanes of Lagos, where the air smelled of sweat, chalk, and acre from the roadside woman who claimed to have once cooked for fella. Mike, Andrew, and Sharon, 3 names braided by fate, 1 soul, 3 shadows. Mike was a storm in the classroom, all laughter and impulse. His jokes were quicksilver, always dancing ahead of punishment. Teachers rolled their eyes, but secretly, he made their days lighter. He once stood on a desk and mimicked the principal's morning prayers. A punishment followed, so did applause. Andrew was different, quiet, always scribbling. He folded his poems into paper birds and released them during break time. Some landed in bins. One landed in Sharon's lap. She didn't throw it away. And Sharon was the kind of girl the wind paused for. Her brain worked faster than the school bell. Her eyes, always observing, always distant, held questions too old for 16. Beautiful, yes, but dangerously so. Not in a way that made boys whistle, but in a way that made them forget what they were saying mid-sentence. The trio formed slowly. 1 math project, 1 stolen meat pie, 1 walk home during a thunderstorm. Suddenly, they were inseparable. Their laughter echoed through Form 1 to Form 3. They made a pact under the mango tree. No secrets, no shame, no surrender. But even mango trees have roots buried in darkness. There was an old janitor at the school, Baba Oyinbo, with skin as wrinkled as a dried yam. They said he used to be a Babalawo before madness stole his memory. He used to sweep around their class muttering in Yoruba, sometimes stopping to stare at them. One day, he approached the trio and whispered, "When one heart burns brighter than the others, the fire will feed on the rest." They laughed it off. Baba was always saying strange things, but Sharon didn't laugh. Her grandmother used to say, "The mad often speak what the sane refuse to hear." Their final year came with the roar of adulthood. They sat under the tree one last time after graduation. The wind was heavy that day. Leaves circled them like spirits. Sharon spoke softly. "You know this, it's rare. We have to protect it." Mike grinned. "We will. We're Team Immortal, remember?" Andrew smiled, but his eyes drifted toward Sharon. He opened his mouth, but no words came. The leaves stilled. The mango tree creaked. Later that night, Sharon had a dream. She stood in a forest where the trees whispered her name. The sky bled red. And in the distance, she saw Mike and Andrew walking away, hand in hand, not noticing her. Behind her, a black shadow moved. A woman with no face, wrapped in white, weeping into the soil. She woke up screaming. University came like a storm, full of deadlines, dreams, and distances. Mike, bold and brilliant, was admitted to Obafemi Awolowo University for mechanical engineering. Andrew and Sharon, however, found themselves at University of Ibadan. He for English, she for medicine. At first, they held on to the flame. Daily messages, inside jokes. Mike created a WhatsApp group, Team Immortal. He sent memes and motivational quotes, even voice notes of him singing old secondary school songs off-key. Sharon replied with laughter. Andrew posted the occasional poem. It felt warm, familiar, but slowly the chat dimmed. Sharon and Andrew began to spend more time together on campus, in the library, in the canteen, on long walks, and beneath the ancient trees of UI. One of those trees, people whispered, was Iji, the tree of secrets, planted centuries ago by a priestess, who vowed no love born under its shadow would end without blood. They laughed off the tale, the way all doomed lovers do. One evening, while the rain throbbed gently against the library's tall windows, Andrew turned to Sharon. "Sharon, I've liked you Since that day in SS2, when you stood up for me in lit class, when no one else did. Sharon blinked. The air thickened. I know, she whispered. I've always known. I just didn't want to ruin us. But truth waits. They kissed. It was soft, trembling, like a page being turned by the wind. But they didn't tell Mike. Weeks passed. Sharon began to see things in her dreams. Strange shadows in white robes, a tree dripping blood, and the faceless woman again, closer now, weeping harder. She told Andrew. He held her hand and whispered, "It's just stress, med school nightmares." But Sharon knew better. Her grandmother once said, when the ancestors want to speak, they send dreams that taste like ash. Then, on a cool Saturday, Mike came to visit. They laughed, took selfies, ate suya near the botanical garden. But Mike noticed the small things. How Sharon's hand lingered on Andrew's back, how their eyes met and quickly broke away. The triangle had shifted. Later, alone with Andrew, Mike confronted him. "Bro," he said softly, "you and Sharon, is there something?" Andrew's mouth opened, closed, then opened again. "It's not what you think," he muttered. "It's exactly what I think," Mike said, voice cracking. "I told you, man. I told you I liked her. Since way back." Andrew looked away. "I didn't plan it. You didn't tell me either." Silence fell like a blade. That night, Mike walked alone through the university's old staff quarters. The air was wrong. Cold. He passed under the EGG. The wind picked up, and from behind the tree, he heard a whisper. Not a voice, but a feeling, like guilt made audible. He turned. No one. But as he turned back, he saw something carved faintly into the bark of the tree. One flame. Two shadows. One will vanish. The wind wouldn't stop that morning. It hissed through hostile windows, rippled curtains, and rattled doors at University College Hospital, where Sharon now did her clinical rounds. Her roommate said the air felt heavy, like the earth itself was holding its breath. Sharon hadn't slept well. She dreamt of her old classroom, empty and echoing. On the blackboard, written in red chalk, was the same line from the tree bark. One flame, two shadows, one will vanish. In her dream, she turned and saw Andrew, crying into a page that bled ink. Mike stood behind him, holding a candle that melted too fast. Then the candle vanished, and Sharon was alone. When she woke, she lit incense her grandmother had left her. Herbs, said to ward off dark energy. But the smoke curled into shapes. A broken circle. A cracked photo frame. Still, she shook it off. Medical school stress, she muttered. That afternoon, she finished her rounds early and decided to take a bike. Just a short ride home. The roads glistened from the morning's rain, and the scent of wet earth clung to the wind. She was texting Andrew. One last message. You and Mike must fix things. I'll talk to him again, too. Promise. Then, a scream, a screech, metal on bone. A motorcycle lost control. It struck her. There was blood. There was silence. And in the tall trees nearby, one leaf fell, slowly into the gutter. Then another. Then dozens. The call came to Andrew first. Then to Mike. Both froze. Both asked, "What do you mean?" Neither remembers who dropped the phone first. At the funeral, the sky wept. It didn't rain. It wept. Mike and Andrew stood on opposite sides of the grave. Eyes hollow, hearts raw. When the casket was lowered, the silence was unbearable. Then Mike whispered, "She always said we were meant to do great things." Andrew's voice broken. She was a great thing. "Do you hate me?" asked Mike. Andrew didn't answer at first. Then finally, "No, but I think we broke something that can't be fixed." The mourners left one by one, but Andrew remained. He stared at the mound of fresh soil and whispered a poem into it, tears soaking the earth. Weeks passed, then months. Andrew stopped attending classes. He stopped writing. His hostel door remained closed for days. Sometimes, neighbors heard him muttering, repeating lines from old poems. One swore they saw him scribbling a verse on his wall, only for it to vanish the next day. Rumors grew. He talks to shadows. He writes letters to Sharon and burns them. Some said he visited the EGG every night and left offerings, a pen, a flower, a torn page. Then one morning, Andrew was gone. His room empty. No note, no trace. Only a final scribble on his table. Some griefs are not meant to heal in this world. Mike returned to school, graduated, but he never stepped foot in Abadan again. At NYSC camp, one stormy evening, he found a brown envelope beneath his pillow. No name, no stamp. Inside was a single sheet of paper, a poem handwritten. The ink was faded, but the words were eternal. The light between us. They said the stars would guide us home. But no one warned they sometimes die. We reached for love, for truth, for flame, and watched it vanish from the sky. One broke the silence. One broke the trust. And one now sleeps beneath the dust. Forgive me not for what I said, but for the words I left unsaid. Mike folded the page and placed it behind the only photo he still carried. A picture of the three of them in school uniforms. Wrinkled, smiling, innocent. That night, he dreamed of Sharon. She was under the mango tree again. The wind gentle. She looked at him and said, "Speak when it matters." Some silences cost too much. Then she faded. Years passed. Mike became a man. He built machines, designed systems, won awards. But at night, when the city quieted, his thoughts wandered back to Sharon's laugh, to Andrew's quiet strength, to that day. He tried not to think about the poem, but sometimes he'd wake up with the words echoing in his ears. Forgive me not for what I said, but for the words I left unsaid. One Harmattan season, Mike returned to Lagos for a conference, on impulse or something deeper. He boarded a bus to Abadan. The roads were rough, the sky low, the journey silent. He stepped onto the University of Abadan campus like a man returning to a memory. The mango tree still stood, but it was the Ijiji, the tree of secrets, that pulled him. Its bark had darkened. The ground beneath it was covered in dried offerings, feathers, cola nuts, broken pens. He stepped closer and felt the air grow cold. Then, a whisper, not in words, but in memory. Suddenly, he saw Sharon standing there again, smiling, with Andrew beside her and a pen behind his ear, and himself, grinning, full of dreams. Then the vision flickered. Sharon looked directly at him. "Mike," she said softly, "I kept our circle together. But circles are fragile, and spirits never forget what they're owed." Mike blinked. Her eyes were wet. "You and Andrew broke more than friendship," she said. "You broke balance. The tree remembers." Then she pointed behind him. Mike turned. There stood Andrew, not older, not changed, just present. But his eyes were hollow. And he wasn't standing. He was floating. His feet didn't touch the soil. "Mike," he said, "I thought the poems would save me. But some stories don't want saving. They want to be heard." Mike's voice cracked. "Are you dead?" Andrew smiled gently, sadly. "Not dead, not living, just caught." And then Mike noticed something. The roots of the Ijiji had coiled around Andrew's ankles like vines, as if the tree had claimed him, held him, fed off him. "The flame didn't vanish," Andrew whispered. "It became echo. Now the tree remembers our silence, and silence must be answered." Mike stepped forward. "I never said I was sorry," he choked. "I should have listened. I should have spoken. I should have told you both how much you meant." Andrew nodded. That's all the tree ever wanted. And with those words, Andrew dissolved, not like mist, but like a story being finished. The roots loosened, the wind sighed, and carved into bark of the tree, as if freshly etched, were the words. Truth spoken set spirits free. Mike dropped to his knees, and for the first time in years, he cried.
If you enjoy our stories, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. See you on the next one. Thank you.